You're watching a movie. Big romantic scene. Rain, music swells, the couple finally kisses. You've seen this exact moment about 4,000 times in your life. It feels like the most normal, universal human thing in the world. Except it's not. Less than half of humanity actually does this. Here's the reframe. In 2015, researcher William Jankowiak studied 168 different cultures around the world, looking for romantic kissing, the mouth-to-mouth kind you see in every movie ever made. Only 46% of them actually did it, less than half. Which means if you lined up every culture on Earth, more than half of them look at the big romantic kiss scene and go, why are they doing that with their faces? So what do the other cultures do instead? Some rub noses, some just get close and breathe each other in. And one group, the Mehinaku people of the Amazon, bite each other's eyebrows, which, honestly, sounds a lot more intense than a kiss, and nobody's making a movie scene out of it yet. There's also a culture called the Fanga, and historical accounts describe them reacting to the idea of mouth kissing with actual disgust. Not confusion, disgust. Imagine explaining to someone that you find their entire species' favorite romantic gesture kind of gross, and they just shrug and go, fair. And it's not just 2 or 3 odd examples either. Across the cultures studied, plenty of them expressed genuine confusion at the idea, describing it as unhygienic, strange, or just pointless. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a director is spending $11 million to film the exact same gesture in slow motion with orchestral music. So if kissing isn't some built-in human instinct everyone naturally does, where did it even come from? One theory traces back to something a lot less romantic than a movie kiss. Mothers in some cultures used to chew up food and pass it mouth to mouth to feed their babies, since infants can't chew solid food themselves. It's called kiss feeding, and it's still practiced in a few places today. Charles Darwin actually wrote about this exact behavior back in the 1800s. So, one leading theory is that romantic kissing might have started as a leftover, repurposed version of a parenting habit, which is a slightly less magical origin story than what's usually playing in the background of a wedding video. Somewhere, a caveman baby is the reason your Tinder date went well. There's also a completely different theory, and this one's stranger. Some researchers think kissing might work as a kind of unconscious biological test. When you get close enough to someone to kiss them, you're also picking up on their scent. And scent can carry real information about a person's immune system, specifically genes that affect how compatible your immune systems would be if you had kids together. There's actually a real study behind this, and it's a genuinely strange one. In the 1990s, researcher Klaus Wedekind had a group of men wear the same t-shirt for 2 days straight. No deodorant, nothing. Then he had women smell the shirts and rate which ones they found most appealing. The women consistently preferred the scent of men whose immune system genes were most different from their own, which, biologically, tends to produce healthier offspring. So somewhere in your dating history, you may have unknowingly rated someone's genetic compatibility using nothing but a 2-day-old t-shirt. Romantic. Quick pause, by the way. If you're enjoying this one, hit subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're making a lot more of these, and it genuinely helps more than you'd think. Okay, back to it. And here's the part that's genuinely interesting. Jankowiak's research found that romantic kissing shows up more often in bigger, more layered societies, the kind with class differences and more formal dating rules. In smaller, tighter-knit groups, it's much less common, which suggests kissing isn't some ancient instinct everyone was born with. It might be closer to a habit that only caught on in certain kinds of societies for reasons nobody fully understands yet. So why would a bigger, more layered society end up kissing more than a small, tight-knit one? One idea is pretty practical. In a small group where everyone's known each other their whole lives, courtship doesn't need a big dramatic gesture. Everyone already knows everyone's family, reputation, the whole deal. But in a bigger society, where you might be meeting a potential partner as a near stranger, you need some way to quickly signal interest and closeness. A kiss does that job fast. It's basically a shortcut for trust when the group's too big to already know everyone. Which means the more complicated your society gets, the more your species apparently invents little rituals just to fast-track intimacy with total strangers. Kissing might just be an efficiency hack for modern dating that accidentally got mistaken for a universal instinct. And once it did catch on in a handful of powerful connected cultures, it spread the same way basically everything else spreads now: trade, colonization, and eventually, movies. By the 20th century, Hollywood was exporting the romantic kiss to literally every country with a movie screen, whether that country's own culture had ever practiced it or not. What started as one regional habit got repackaged as what humans in love do and shipped worldwide with popcorn. Which means every rom-com you've ever watched has been quietly assuming its own culture's habit is a universal human default. Meanwhile, somewhere else on the planet, someone's watching that exact same movie thinking, why is he doing that with his mouth? Here's one more twist though. Humans aren't even the only species that does this. Bonobos, one of our closest living relatives, have been documented doing full mouth-to-mouth contact, tongue included, as part of how they bond socially. Which means the very human romantic gesture you thought your culture invented might actually be older than culture itself, just not universally kept by every human group along the way. Some cultures held on to it, others quietly let it go. Bonobos apparently never got the memo either way and just kept doing it. So if you've ever stood outside a door before a first date, mentally rehearsing whether tonight's the night for a kiss, just know, you're stressing over something that isn't even biologically mandatory for your species. Less than half the planet's cultures would even recognize what you're nervous about. Somewhere, someone had that exact same nervous doorstep moment, and their solution was to lean in and bite an eyebrow. And honestly, their heart rate was probably just as high as yours. So the next time you watch that rain-soaked movie kiss and think, yeah, that's just what humans do, remember you're watching one specific cultural habit, dressed up as a universal truth. Less than half the planet actually agrees with the movie. The other half is out there rubbing noses, or biting eyebrows, or just standing a respectful distance away, completely unbothered. If you like this one, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. We're making more of these, and each one's getting better. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.